It has just started to snow, and thankfully we don't get the 3 and 4 foot snowfalls here in this part of the country. But seems like only yesterday I was complaining about it being 113 degrees inside my garage. Okay, just want to make sure I'm recording. This GoPro 7 was acting up here earlier, and I understand I'm not the only one that has a problem with that, but as you can see, I got the stringers bonded in today. Had a little bit of a break in the weather again and decided to take advantage of it, and the stringers are in place now. The keel beam is in place. I still have to make these ribs. You can see where these slots are cut out right here. Each one of those slots gets a rib. Got the bulkhead bonded in place, and let me get you a little wide angle shot. And there's going to be the bow, and this is my jack right here. It's kind of in the way, but I'm not going to mess with that right now. But yeah, everything is bonded in, and now it's just a matter of getting those ribs made, and I'll probably do that sometime this week. And actually, I take that back. I'm going down to Houston on Monday, and I'm going back down to Houston Hardwoods, where I got this Morandi plywood. It is time for me to buy the 1/4 inch thick Morandi plywood that I'm going to use for the hull, for the outer hull. So I'm going to head down to Houston Monday, try to get out here as early as I can because they're only open 7:30 to 4:30, and get down there, pick up my plywood, and then head on back. And I'm going to just do a quick turnaround. Yeah, well, I say quick, 4-hour drive down, 4-hour drive back, and yeah, that's quick, sure. But anyway, I will get back to you when I get some more progress on this, make some more progress on this, and once I get these ribs bonded into place and we get started on that process, I'll make some more videos as I go through all that. So, all right, folks, thanks for watching. And hey, it's starting to look like a boat. Finally starting to look like a boat. God bless, and stay. I'll get it out here in just a minute. It's easy for you to say. God bless and stay safe. Thank you for watching. Okay, welcome back. Just kind of staying out here in the garage tonight, just trying to get an idea of what this is going to look like once the floor is in, and just had a little piece of scrap plywood here just laid up on top of these longitudinal members here, and just kind of give you a little bit of an idea of what this section right here will look like once it's completed. So I'm just kind of out here also just checking to make sure the that warp is out of it. Remember in 2 or 3 videos ago, remember that when I finished assembling the transom, when I finished putting these braces on and getting them glued on, it kind of induced a little bit of a warp in that thing, and what ended up happening is these 2 pieces, this one here and this piece here, ended up not being completely parallel. When you set this up flat, this brace would sit flat. This one had about a 1/4 inch gap right here at this end. And so I kind of figured out what happened, and said, well, okay, I came up with this apparatus here to clamp everything in place and to hold it down in place while the epoxy set up when I installed the keel beam and these stringers and this number 2 rib right here. So I took all my clamps off today, and the only 2 clamps I have left is this one here and one over here on the other side. And plan right now is to go ahead and take these bolts out and remove these 2 clamps and get everything freed up. But I did check my spacers and shims underneath both of these. Now, like I said, when I first laid this up on the table before I bonded any of the stuff in place, I had about a 1/4 inch gap. So I had to pull this down with clamps. And what I actually did was calculated how much I needed right there to get everything to sit level and to both crossways and longways. And then I measured up the shim that I needed to put underneath this brace, and then I used a clamp to draw it down. And what I did was I used a 1/16 of an inch less. I wanted to draw this brace down more. This is the one that had the gap under it. I wanted to draw this brace down just a little bit more, put a little bit more stress on it, so that once I took all the clamps loose, if there was any spring back, I was hoping that, just pulling it down just that extra little bit would kind of help offset, any of the spring back that might happen. So far, so good. These shims right here, let's see if I can get my hand up underneath here. These shims right here, they still got a little bit of a light drag on them. And this one over here actually can't even hardly move it. It's a little bit more drag, but I can move them. So I'll be right back. I'm going to take these bolts out, and we're going to see what happens. Hopefully everything stays flat just like it is right now. Okay, the last little braces or clamps or whatever you want to call these things, they're off. And I didn't see anything move. I've still got, if you can see that here, still have a little bit of tension on those shims. So that's a good thing. The plan was to go ahead and pre-stress this a little bit. Like I just mentioned in that previous segment, by clamping this brace down and using like just like a 1/16 inch less shim stack and spacer stack than what I had over here, because I wanted to put just a little bit extra stress on this one and keep everything clamped down. It's been clamped down for about a month. So like I said, the plan was to get everything clamped into place and put like a little bit of pre-stress on, a little preload on this brace, and then bond all this stuff in place. And boy, you gotta love it when a plan comes together, because it worked. As I was taking all the clamps off, I didn't see anything pop up. I didn't see anything spring up, and I didn't really see any movement here at all. And this little L-shaped piece right here is what I had. I don't know, what would you call it, a clamp. I had it to where it was holding the transom down on the on these spacers. I don't know if you can see them in there or not. But when I first put the preload on this brace, of course, everything has an opposite and equal reaction. It caused this corner to pop up, because remember we said it had a little bit of a warp in it there. So I had to make all these little clamps and brackets and everything to hold everything firmly in place while I bonded all the stringers, the keel beam, this rib, and even left it in place while I bonded the bulkhead in place. And it took about 24 hours for this stuff to set up, because I was using that slow cure hardener for the resin, and it took a little bit longer with this cool weather. It's been about right at 60 degrees. Remember, I keep saying I've got this temperature threshold I have to work within, and I mean, I was right at the lower limit yesterday when I put this stuff in and assembled all this, and decided to go ahead and take the chance. And it's set up very nicely now. It just took a little bit longer for it to cure, but I have no concerns about the strength of any of this epoxy right here. So looks like we're moving forward, and hopefully, I don't know if I'm going to make it down to Houston tomorrow or not. The weather down there in Houston is looking like they're going to get some pretty bad weather, so probably going to have to hold off. I might take off work Tuesday and go down there and get the 1/4 inch Morandi that I need. So that's about it. That's about all I have. I'm actually getting to a point where the only thing I have left to do is to start making all these ribs here. And remember I said I had 1, 2, 3, 4 ribs I had to make. I have my my full-size drawing right here, taking measurements. That's actually a rib, getting all the linear measurements, going to transfer those measurements over to this wood, this 3/8 plywood, get those cut out, and I don't know, we'll see. Maybe next weekend we'll get those bonded in. Okay, folks, welcome back. I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into some of the things that I touched on in the devotional portion of my last video, where I talked about, the things that we're seeing, the times that we're living in now, and how, I mentioned that I believe that these are signs that are giving us an indication that we're beginning to sort of tip the scales a little bit, that the world is kind of going into those end times that are depicted in the book of Revelation in the Bible. One of the signs that I forgot to mention that Jesus said to look for was political unrest, and I think we would all agree that we're certainly seeing that now. But Jesus was talking to his disciples, and this is recorded in the 17th chapter of Luke. It's also in the Gospel of Matthew. It's a parallel passage there in Matthew 24. But Jesus said to his disciples, and this is something I mentioned in the last video, but Jesus said, "Just as it was in the days of Noah, so also it will be in the days of the Son of Man." People were eating, drinking, marrying, and being given in marriage up to the day Noah entered the ark. And then the flood came and destroyed them all. And I mentioned that because I said that we're seeing the same thing today. We're seeing people just sort of ignoring the warnings, and of course the world has been given ample time to heed the warnings in the Bible. That there is going to be a time coming. There is when God is going to judge the world. Now, certainly though, there is nothing wrong with going about the business of life. That's not what I was saying. But what I was saying was that we have to be alert to what's going on around us and not get distracted. The people in Noah's time had ample time to turn from their wickedness, but they ignored the warnings that were given to them. And like I said, people are doing the same thing today. They're ignoring the warnings. In Matthew 24, Jesus said, "Because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold." And again, that's one of the signs that Jesus said would precede his return. And I think we are definitely seeing an increase in wicked behavior. And we're most certainly seeing a dramatic rise in anger and hatred in the world. I mean, it's just absolutely stunning how much anger and hate there is. Especially when you go to social media, when you go to places like Facebook and Twitter. Man, I mean, it's just people just get on there and they tear each other to pieces. And I think if you're a Christian, I think my advice to you is stay away from those places. Get off of those social media platforms. I've never had a Facebook page, and it's just something that I just have never cared for, because early on I saw what it was, and the same goes for Twitter. I've never had a Twitter account. Let me take that back. My wife set one up several years ago. We've never used it. On occasion, I'll get an email saying that you've got an alert or whatever they call it. But here just the other day, I just went in there and just deleted that account, and I said, it's a poison, and Christians don't need to be on those platforms. Now, like I mentioned a few moments ago, there's nothing wrong with going about the business of life. We need to do the things that we have to do to make a living. We have families to raise. We have bills to pay. We can enjoy hobbies, whether it's building a boat like I'm doing right back here, or restoring classic cars if you're into that sort of thing. I've restored cars in the past, and it's just a good little hobby to get into. But never let those things become your gods. And that's something we have to be very careful of. We have to make sure that our interests and the things that we're passionate about, whether it's fishing or hunting or restoring cars or doing what I'm doing here, building boats, we have to make sure that those things don't displace God. We have to make sure that we don't let those things become our idols. Now the Bible does tell us too that we certainly need to stay busy. We're not to be idle. In the Apostle Paul's time, the church at Thessalonica wrote him about a serious problem they were having. Some of the people there in that time believed that Jesus was going to return right away. They thought he was coming back any moment. And then, we're talking about the first century here, sometime late 40s, early 50s AD, first century. So what those people did was they stopped working and they just sat around, did nothing, because they thought, Jesus was coming back the next day. But in 2 Thessalonians chapter 3, Paul told them, we hear that some among you are idle and disruptive. They are not busy, they are busybodies. Such people we command and urge in the Lord Jesus Christ to settle down and earn the food they eat. In other words, get busy. No one knows when Jesus Christ will return. So, you know what? It is okay to go about the business of life while we wait for our Lord's imminent return. Just like I said, though, we just need to be alert. We need to be ready. Folks, I want to thank you for watching tonight, or whenever you're watching. I'm recording this at nighttime, but anyway, that's my message for you, and just have a blessed week. And as I say at the end of every video, this is a ministry. I do take prayer requests. I do moderate the comment section of this channel, and I've explained the reasons for that in past videos. But with all that said, behave, be blessed, and it is now time for me to be gone. Thank you again for watching.